This is another one. We want to do sort of like a one pot meal. Again, trying to keep it fairly simple. This is a great one where you can do a big batch, you can serve a lot of people, or even if it's just one or two, you can portion a lot of them, freeze them, and then eat it as you like. One pot meals are great, again, for just reducing the amount of work and energy needed in the kitchen. But it's a great way to cook tougher ingredients as well. So we're making, multitasking here, we're making Pot Au Feu. Has anyone heard of that before?
No.
Pot Au Feu. How good is everyone's French? What does that translate to? Sorry?
Pot of flour.
Fire. It's like fire pot.
Oh.
Right, so this is, pot au feu is obviously it's French, but this is a dish that you're probably going to see in almost every single type of culture, especially the ones that try to make the most out of your ingredients. And there's a different name throughout. I'm sure everyone has their own favorite, but it's pretty much a stew, but with big chunks of vegetables, tough cuts of meat usually. It's usually the things that are maybe left over, maybe the roots that are cheap, and the cuts that are a little less expensive. And it's trying to stretch them to feed as many people as possible, to make it nutritious, to make it delicious, right? So this, I figured, let's teach this one today, because it's a very simple recipe, but you can, again, customize it to do whatever you want. So with this one, we have a big pot that's over a stovetop, and we're just gonna add big chunks of vegetable. So this one, it's not used enough. It's peeled, but does anyone know?
Rutabaga.
Yeah, very good. Rutabaga. This is fantastic, delicious. It has this sort of waxy exterior, and I think a lot of people are sort of intimidated by it, but it's usually a very inexpensive ingredient. It goes a long way, it's delicious. And all I do, again, big chunks. So like peel it, cut it in half, done. That goes into the pot. I'm not even turning the pot on at this point. I'm just throwing everything in. We're gonna make it as simple as possible. I've got some cabbage here. Again, wash everything well, but don't spend your time dicing it into like perfect little dices. No one's judging you. I'm not gonna be there watching. In half, in. Very simple. Leeks. And again, try to go with the season. Maybe try to go with, I've got some leftover sweet potatoes, I want to use them up. I've got some carrots, I want to use them up. Onions, just peeled, whole, in. Carrots, just peeled, in. Try to make it fit. Jam it in there. This is, who knows what this one is? The radish. It's a big radish. Daikon radish. This was actually a tip from our culinary student from George Brown that I have this semester, Yonjay. She's in the back. She's looking after me, making sure I don't mess it up. Daikon is a great way to add a little bit of flavor, almost like a little bit of like a radishy heat to the stew. It is delicious, really, really nice. Again, just a big chunk in there, beautiful. Garlic. These are massive garlics, but I just peel them. And a good way to peel them instead of using the masher, take off the end and just give them a little smash. If you don't want to use your knife, use like a bottom of like a bottle or anything heavy. And the peel comes right off. Big chunks, again, go in. And then you want to add some aromatics, some herbs, if possible. Thyme, bay leaf, parsley stems, whatever you want. This is a little technique. Anyone heard of like a bouquet of herbs or bouquet garni? Yeah, great technique. So you take all your herbs together and tie them up, preferably with something that is not like dissolved, or plastic. Don't use elastics or anything like that. Twist ties. You would be surprised. I teach a class at George Brown now, and sometimes they don't realize that the butcher's twine is very accessible. You can use this, and you don't have to use like your shoelaces or anything like that. No one's done that. I'm joking, but very simple. And the great thing about this is you tie it up, you can easily remove it after, right? So you're not losing bay leaves, which are not really digestible. You don't want to be chewing on a bay leaf big pieces of time. So that goes in there. Like pretty straightforward, pretty simple, right? A little bit of salt, if you want to season it. And then I'm just using water. You can add some more flavor if you have some vegetable stock or some chicken stock. You can definitely add whatever you want into it. But essentially I'm making a stock, really. So I try to get it all in the pot, but all I really need is some water, and that's gonna be the broth of the soup. So enough to fill it up. I was a little short on this one, but that's it. And then turn it up to about medium high. Once the water starts to boil, reduce it to low, lid on top, and you can let it simmer for about, if it's just vegetables, you can let it simmer for about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, really until the hardest vegetable is soft and cooked through. Rutabaga, it's big, it doesn't take that long though. It takes about 30, 40 minutes of simmering and it's cooked through. This is traditionally done with, like I said, tougher cuts of meat. So oxtail is often used in this. Chicken, like a whole half a chicken bone in, that's often used in this. And that's where you can customize it. If you have like something you want to add it. You're just gonna have to extend the cooking time, right? So for chicken, add in probably another 60 minutes onto it, slow simmer. For oxtail, a little longer, almost like 120 minutes to really allow it to break down. But you can make it again as quick or as long as you want, but that's all the work you need to do. Really simple. So now we'll do a little switch. So this is the results of the vegetables. Again, big pieces. And you can do it one of two ways. You can just throw it on the table and let everyone go at it themselves. Depends how well behaved everybody is. Or if you're nice, you can chop a little bit of it up ahead of time. And again, just roughly cut. And we'll put it into the bowl. The rutabaga is really nice and soft, and it gets so sweet and delicious in there. Turnips are another great one, underrated. Everyone ignores the turnips. We grow turnips, so they're a good local ingredient. The cabbage, and near the end, so I put on there peas, and I use some nice fresh peas and fava beans. Definitely, especially if you're keeping it vegetarian, a good way to add some of that protein. But those, if they're fresh peas, if they're fresh beans, add them a little closer. They don't take too long. They take about 10 minutes. So add them a little closer to the end. They don't have to start at the beginning, otherwise they get a little too soft. So a little bit of that on, very simple. And then the broth. So you take the vegetables out, which is right up to the top here, is gonna have all that flavor from all those vegetables. And I know even when it's warmer, we still need comfort food. Right, and then you can finish it whichever way you want. So I have some nice fresh spring onions on there. And I kept this vegetarian, but my favorite is adding a soft-boiled egg on top. I've got all these hidden gems and tricks in here. And that's it. Very simple, comfort food, pot au feu with a soft-boiled egg. Yes, question? Yeah.